Alright, here we go with this fucking cat again. Pet Sematary is the second, that was weird, adaptation of the Stephen King novel of the same name. If you've seen my review of the original Pet Sematary, then you know I'm a fan of the book, and I didn't think the original movie was too bad either. Sure, I felt like it crammed in way too much into the movie from the book, and they needed to trim some of it back, and the tone wasn't 100% in line with the original story, but as far as adaptations go, it is one of the most faithful adaptations I have ever seen. Everybody knows the story of Pet Sematary at this point. Family moves to Maine, family cat dies, the dad and the neighbor take the family cat to the Indian burial ground behind the Pet Sematary and bury it. Cat comes back as Psycho Cat. In case you're not real familiar with the story, some bad things happen to one of the kids, and then more bad things happen, and bad things on top of bad things, and just shit really goes out of control. Depressing ass ending. And that's Pet Sematary. Of course, there's a little more to it, and while I do think that most people know the basic story of Pet Sematary, I do want to try and remain as spoiler-free as possible, so I won't really get into the details about all of that. So how about this adaptation? How is it? It's pretty good. I heard a lot of things about this movie before going in to see it, about how it was so great, and it's the best Stephen King adaptation ever made. And it's so scary. And yes, it is pretty good, and I do think overall it is better than the original movie. I don't think it's as scary as everybody was making it out to be, nor do I think it's the best adaptation of Stephen King's work so far. It is definitely up there though, but not the best. You still got it, baby. So let's talk about what this movie does right. It moves a whole lot faster than the original movie, and even faster than the book. And the pacing overall is better than the original movie. Now, does that mean it's better than the book because it moves faster and it has good pacing? No, it's just different. And while the tone in this movie is much more in line with the book than the other movie is, it does still suffer from my biggest gripe about the original movie, and that's that it doesn't focus enough on the grief aspect of what's going on in this story. As I said in my review of the original movie, a huge part of the book is focused on the grief aspect, and that is one of the things that made it so scary and horrifying. This is a situation no one should ever have to be in. But unfortunately, there are people that are put into these situations minus the supernatural elements, and the grief aspect of things is a huge part of it. The book did a tremendous job of illustrating that to the reader, and neither movie has been able to come anywhere near that. That doesn't mean the movie's not entertaining, it's just nowhere near the same level as the book was. And overall, they did fix a lot of the gripes from the original movie. The performances overall are much better than the original, though I do hate holding that against the original movie, because the performances given there was just kind of the way things were done then. It was a product of its time, but it doesn't change the fact that the performances given here are superior in pretty much every way. Though I did love me some Judd Crandall from the original movie. They also focus on the character of Victor Pascal a lot less in this version than they did the last. And that was a very good decision. The character's still here, as he is in the original story, but much less than he was in the first movie. And when this movie came out, a lot of people were going around saying it was one of the scariest movies ever made, and it was so terrifying. I didn't really get that. I wasn't really scared while watching this movie. There are some scary parts in it, and it's done very well, but I never really felt dread. Thankfully, unlike a lot of horror movies nowadays, there's not a ton of jump scares throughout, and the movie does try to just rely more on the actual horror of what's happening, rather than really loud noises scaring the shit out of you while you're watching the movie. So yeah, that was appreciated. Something else they greatly improved on from the original movie was that they condensed the story down. This is something I brought up in my review of the original movie. While I did appreciate that movie trying to cram in as much as they could and be as faithful to the original book as possible, when you only have 2 hours to tell a story, you have to cut things out sometimes. And that's okay. It's a different medium. You have to tell the story differently. Here it gave them a little bit more breathing room, and you were able to focus on the characters a bit more. And the movie's better overall for it. Now, while they did cut some things out, they also changed some things. Mainly 2 things in particular. And while, yeah, I guess they are big changes, they don't really affect the story in any way. I mean, yes, these moments and things that they change do affect the story, but they don't really change the story much from the original movie or the book. The overall story and tone and all that is still the same. While I won't ruin these things with specifics, I will say that one of the big things that is changed is shown in the trailer of the movie. That kind of pissed me off, because when I did see the movie, I already knew that this thing was going to happen. And while, yeah, I knew that this thing was going to happen, who it happened to is different, and that would have been a nice unexpected surprise. The other big change in the movie is the ending. Kind of. the overall ending itself is pretty much the same. It's more some of the specifics and details of how they get there that's different. Admittedly, this new ending was more exciting than the originals, but it does retain the overall feel, tone, and outcome of the original stories. So I was okay with it, and I thought it was a good change, and it was kind of nice to not know exactly what was going to happen every step of the way. Guys, Pet Sematary is better than the original. It's still not as good as the book, but you find that a lot of times in adaptations. It is absolutely one of the better Stephen King adaptations out there. Still not the best, but it is definitely one of the better. And while in my opinion it may not be worth spending your hard-earned money to own it, it is definitely worth a rent. If you're a fan of the book or the original movie, you'll have a good time with this movie as well. So there it is, guys, my review of Pet Sematary. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a thumbs up. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.
Sometimes dead is better.
This movie did a few things better than the original movie, but I didn't really think they'd be able to make Church, the cat, any more creepy. But god damn, that motherfucker's terrifying. I think I said it in my last review. Who the fuck's letting him in the house?